What if Brook returned to his body immediately in the Florian Triangle? I've always wondered this. If he were to have just resumed living, almost instantaneously, would that have been something that still granted him the powers of the underworld? Because, he described his devil fruit, the revive fruit, as simply a devil fruit that brings you back to life. Now, I don't think we've been told why or how he acquired the devil fruit. A lot of people have good long-standing theories, like the famous Dawn of the World one, that's a YouTuber. A bunch of other theories too, suggesting that he was forced to eat it, but I genuinely don't think we've ever heard it from his mouth. Now, I'm making this video because I was wondering if Brook is currently living in like a Gear 4 type situation like Luffy, right? Because I don't think his devil fruit has caught up to his haki, like Doflamingo stated about devil fruit awakenings. However, I think that his soul coming back to just skeletal remains made him a supernatural being entirely. And it also makes me wonder if Brook had continued to live his regular life after being revived, right? I don't think he would have his soul powers. I think he would have still been a great addition to the Straw Hats. I think it would have been cool, in a way, to have him in his human form. A little bit more personality, just a little bit, He already has tons of personality oozing out of those eyeballs, or eye holes of his. Yo-ho-ho. But I wonder greatly, sorry, I'm holding a piece of Brook merch in my hands, and I meant to show it off at the start of the video. I don't really have a lot of Brook merch. I think I have a Brook keychain of this one, a keychain of Wano Brook, and some other ones. Anyways, to get to the topic. I mainly asked this question because Brook going back to his skeletal remains kind of made him something of a pseudo, demigod almost, in a way. People look at him and they're just like, "You're a living skeleton? Explain that, please." And, even through the powers of a devil fruit, like Frankie went ahead and made a comment when we meet him in the Florian Triangle, like, wow, it just goes to show how powerful devil fruits can be. You are still walking and alive despite being a skeleton. And, Brook explains his whole, it took me, 50 years to get back to my body, and I'm not really, certain beyond that qualifies as something the devil fruit would have prepared for itself. Even if only Zoan's devil fruits have the own will or whatever, like the Gorosei stated, I don't think this devil fruit was intended to go back to a skeleton, personally. He stated his soul came back from the afterlife or the underworld. I'll put the panel up, correct myself with a little asterisk, but he stated it. Either the underworld or the afterlife is something he did venture back from at the moment of death. His soul came back down, however, the Florian Triangle was just too foggy. He couldn't find his body right away. When he finally did, it was nothing but bones. So like I've reiterated, I just really don't think that is what the devil fruit was meant for. Here's how I think it would have worked. When you start the process of coming back to life, right? You come back to life, yada, 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 everything's normal, but as you get older, your body will start to decay naturally, which I find horrifying, but we've seen horrifying consequences of devil fruits before, albeit off screen. Alvida painfully lost all the fat on her body, and some devil fruits just make you a little bit more gross, like Treble, than others, right? He made a suit of boogers to walk around in. Oh my god. But Brook, on the other hand, could have been just a guy living a secondary life. Maybe he would have even just died normally and never gained soul powers ever to begin with. He would have just gotten the added benefit of the added benefit of just being alive again, getting a second chance at life. However, what happened? Brook comes back down and inhabits a skeletal body. This, to me, is either a Gear 4 type pre-awakening or Brook is fully awakened, because being able to separate his body from his soul, like we first see in Fishman Island, and he makes a good, awesome display of it in Whole Cake Island, because Big Mom is messing with souls, and Brook is like, well, I am the Soul King. To me, that is like a persona that is deep within him from confidence, not something that he's just wearing. He's not just pretending to be the Soul King. I genuinely think Brook went to the afterlife, and when he entered his body again, he realized he was something more. He is a very humble character that does not brag or explain himself often or ever. But then when he does have things to say, they're always oddly useful tidbits of information. For example, he had that one passing comment about the King of Alabasta. Well, Brook, you were a pirate a long-ass time ago, to the point where Roger is a rookie to you, right? So you saying that you've never heard of anyone having issues with Alabasta is actually quite a big deal, because that means that Alabasta has always been a good kingdom. Anyways, Brook entering the skeleton, coming back and just assuming the life of a corpse, right? How do we know that he can actually die now? He might just be one of those quote-unquote immortals in One Piece. We have Lao Ji, who literally just didn't die for some reason, right? We have Kureha, who is trying actively to tell people the secret of her immortality, or youth at least. And then we have Emu, who Ivankov has stated recently to be a potential recipient of the immortal youth surgery. But now we have in our faces the whole series since Thriller Bark, a guy that is just immortal, seemingly. To me, I don't think that there is an expiration date on a body that has already expired, right? How can you go on and say that your life is going to be long and full if your life is not bound by anything anymore? You know, we humans, we die when our bodies are done. There might be another reason for it, but typically we just expire. Like, old age is just the turning off of your body naturally. But how can Brook's body turn off? How? Like, think about it, really think about it. How do you turn off a skeleton? Does his soul wither? Does his soul just lose potency after a while, right? What if you were to separate his soul from his body while he's in the soul form? Is that possible? Could you do that maybe with hockey, right? These are maybe the only weaknesses that Brook might have, other than simply not knowing hockey. And also, because he is a skeleton, right? Is he able to learn hockey, right? Can he do that? Is there something in, the rules of hockey that we just don't know yet, that you have to be a living, flesh-having, blood-pumping being? Or is hockey so manifested of nothing but willpower that Brook's soul in and of itself will be able to manifest it? Because rest assured, if Brook is not awakened now, simply due to not knowing hockey, not having mastered it yet at his age, this and that, should he learn it, I think he would awaken instantaneously. So we might see something like, hey, I can actually talk to Zoro's inner soul. I can move it backwards from his body. He's knocked out, and I can give Zoro ghost form for like 20 minutes or something like that, right? I don't know what his awakening would be if this isn't it right here, because I think that being able to separate your soul from your body is not something that would come with the regular version of the revive fruit. If Brook had gone to his regular body and just returned to it nice and healthy, I genuinely think he would have just lived out a whole nother life cycle. Maybe he would be old, his body would get very old, but maybe he would have just died at old age, or, of other circumstances. But, he was killed. But he entered his skeleton, his corpse. No organs, nothing holding him down but his beautiful hair, right? I just think that it's something too supernatural, preternatural almost. Just something so powerful that we haven't even cared about it, because Brook is so chill and always kind of like a gag character that doesn't seem to get fights often, right? He's always fighting the rabble around people, and I really wish, a lot of people want that Brook solo fight. I'm one of them. But I think that should Brook get a solo fight, knowing hockey, finally, he would mollywop anyone. If he could just push the soul out of your body, let's say that is the awakening, the true awakening of his fruit, that's crazy. But at the same time, I want to know what he can do further in soul form. We don't really see anything outside of the soul powers other than he can also control the cold undead of the underworld, which in and of itself is wild, because what even is that, right? So the cold winds of the underworld is like a baseline power we're seeing Brook whoop out every now and again. I really don't feel like going to look up how many times he's used it, because I feel like he's used it like 3 times, maybe in Whole Cake Island, maybe in Fishman Island, and definitely in Wano. But what I want to see is a further application of control of the dead. Can he talk to other souls? Can he talk to other, supernatural beings? Is there a way he can just go to the afterlife really quick? Hey Ace, hey Izo, how y'all doing? Just something to think about, because I really get confused by the whole concept of the underworld. So yeah, my main question for Brook's power is the underlife or the underworld, the afterlife or the underworld in general. Like, how exactly does that work? Is it like heaven or hell? Does it only house good people? Does it only house bad people? Or does it just house people who have dead regardless of how they live their life? If Brook is unawakened in his skeletal body right now, right? And the baseline powers of his devil fruit are stuff like the ice of the underworld and the soul separation, where he can just travel around in the green ghost form. What would his awakening look like, realistically? I know earlier in the video I said, would he be able to just push anyone's soul out of their body? But in Japan, they also believe that spirits are housed within inanimate objects. So what if he could do that? Find the spirit of an inanimate object, something like a poneglyph, right? What would happen then? There's just a couple questions, One question of Brook led to this whole video, which is he awakened in his dead body right now? Personally, I think he is, but since he doesn't have Haki to match, he wouldn't know it. When he does get Haki, hopefully at the end of Elbaf, we will see if he does awaken or not, or if he already has been awakened the whole time. This is something that I hope Oda confirms for every single Straw Hat, whether or not they are Haki compatible, if they have it or not, and ones with devil fruits like Robin, Robin, Brook, and Chopper, will they have awakenings? I know we have Chopper's forced awakening and we have Robin's demonian floor, but now we need Brook to do something crazy with the cold winds of hell, or the soul separation, or both of them together. We know that he uses his music as a conduit for the soul stuff sometimes. We know that he uses his sword to express the icy winds of hell. So from there, I would just like to see a confirmation of Brook's awakening, if he's currently awakened in the skeletal form, or if he has to take it a step further. Anyways, Merch Hunter Ricky, hope y'all have a good night.